Yeah, so there was meant to be like this weird intro about like not getting views, and then there was this weird Charlie and the Chocolate Factory metaphor that was out of nowhere, and yeah, it was just random stuff, and it's like, no, I realized, who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? So, you know, I'll just move on to the actual video. Let's just skip this part, you know, forget it ever happened. Okay, and a non-melodramatic side note, the fact this is listed as a mobile game on Google undermines this thing as a whole, at least to me. So what, you can play on Android and that's it. It's not a mobile game to me. That's like saying Minecraft is a mobile. Oh wait, maybe Google doesn't know what it's talking about, considering they put Dead Cells, something that is physically impossible by all metrics, to play as a game on mobile, as a mobile game. Mindustry is sort of like if Factorio had a child with a tower defense game. Think like Bloon Studio or Kingdom Rush, and this was the result. Anyway, on to the actual thingy that is Mindustry. Landed in a frozen wasteland with a few parts which do these things. Drill. What do you want me to say? Conveyor belts. Moves things around. Junction. Use in tandem with conveyor belts if conveyor belts overlap. Duo. Turret. Shoots ground and air enemies and needs ammo. One of those ammunitions being copper to shoot. As I literally just mentioned, copper. This can be used for conveyors, drills, duos, batteries. Literally most things at some point in their supply chain will need copper as a building material. Here we have the research tree to research literally everything. Don't worry, it will get very confusing soon. I get router research for 100 copper. It splits up conveyor belts and materials. One can go up into 2 or 3 different ones. Another thing I get is copper wool for 200 copper. These function as walls. I started drilling a new resource, that being lead, the poison that defined a generation. This can be used, like copper, many things, which I won't list because spoilers. We witness our first enemy, Dagger, which is a ground unit. It fires bullets and is pretty weak. Mind you, unlike Factorio, all the enemies in this are drones, so no insect guts for you. I build up more and research large copper walls, which are copper walls, but you know, larger. Starts drilling scrap, which is only useful really later on, but could have been used as ammunition, but I proceed to not for some reason. But then I drill it. It's literally, I don't go wide with this. And get the parts sorter and distributor. Sorter, well, sorts. And distributor, it's like a bigger router in essence, which means I usually don't use it, with 7 outputs instead of 3. I get an overflow and underflow gate, in which if the front is blocked, they go to the sides. The front isn't blocked, it goes to the sides. I also get bridge conveyor, which function does, you know what, if the function sounds extremely obvious, I'm not going to explain it to you. On wave 7 we meet our first flying enemy, Flare. It shoots and flies, but it's really low health, so can just be swatted away, like fly. I research Scatter, which cannot fire copper like the duos, meaning I have to resort to using lead. Functions as a form of air defense, which means it cannot aim at ground enemies. But for what it does, it's still good. I finish wave 10 and capture the sector. Leave some of the resources collected to go to. This sector is almost maze-like, with 7 openings going straight to the core, making it a lot harder than the last one. No matter, I build up and start plundering the new resource of coal. Also the poisoning that defined a generation. This resource allows for the first power source, combustion generators, and graphite, which is useful later on from the graphite press. I research both, and the power node, which allows you to transport power efficiently, and mender, which mends. That wasn't obvious already. I press coal for graphite. This graphite gets transported to the core, and I build up defenses. You meet another enemy, Mace, an upgraded version of the Dagger, and since it comes from the northern map, here which I have no defenses, means I get my ass handed to me on the first wave and die. This will become a common occurrence. I research battery and silicon smelter, which uses coal and sand, unlike real life where they use quartz instead, and go back there again, rebuild, and build northern defenses, actually survive, even though it just goes all the way around. I research Scorch, a tower powered by coal that shoots flames, and Arc, a tower powered by coal more indirectly that shoots electricity. I also research Pyrite Mixer, which creates an extremely flammable resource which can be used for fuel and ammo. I fuck up again, go back, repeat the process, win, and we're on to... Upon capturing the last sector, I gain access to pneumatic drills. Drills which can drill faster but require graphite as a building resource. I build, meet a new enemy, crawler. He's run towards you, your base, and yeah. Oh no. A guardian appears. This one is called the Zenith. It flies, it shoots missiles. It has a group of crawlers that explode my walls, and it starts going in. Straight in, I mean. Destroying everything in near it, destroying my core. Blast, it is slain, and I capture the sector. I get my silicon production going, finally smelting some of the most annoying resource known to man. Get solar panels, kilns, pulverizers, incinerators, melters, illuminators, steel generators, lances, turrets that fire cool energy beams, shock mines, microprocessors, switches, messages, memory cells, ground factories, daggers, the ability to make our own enemy, air factories, flares, monos, mining drones, new, bigger, stronger core, being foundation, and completely lose the will to live. Speaking of non-living things, time to go to the description reads, the origin of spores. This is the facility in which the research and initially produced. Research technology contained within. Cultivate spores for the production of fuel and plastics. Upon this facility's demise, the spores were released. Nothing in the local ecosystem could compete with such an invasive organism. So this means that either us or the enemy released spores which wiped out an entire planet's ecosystem. That's fucked up. From having a better core, the drone you control actually gets better. The last one, Alpha, was weak by most metrics, so I'm glad I got a better player unit. Even if I didn't notice while playing. I build up and meet two new enemies. Nova. Like daggers, but they fire lasers and can heal allies at the cost of not being able to fire. Easy to deal with. Altrax fires big cannons, can climb over walls, and has a lot of health. Awful to deal with. I placed down my favourite turret in the game. I placed down an air factory, tell it to build flares and monos, build a kiln and start producing metaglass, research mechanical pumps, and meet Spirot. It climbs over walls and fires lasers and has a shield and, well, yeah. Research conduits, liquid junctions, liquid routers, bridge conduits, thermal generators, logic displays, and finally waves, turrets that use water to push back enemies and put out fires. I quote-unquote build back better, as a certain British politician who can't stop having offspring accidentally once said, I murdered the spirit rot before it can even write back to its family to tell them it's not coming back from the war. I research additive reconstructors, a part you can add in front of a factory to upgrade the unit to the second tier. Polys, drone that helps you build and repair. Having enough of them is kind of broken. Horizon, a flying unit that bombs its enemies. Mace, that guy. And then depart to the a more tropical location with sand mostly everywhere, meaning I'll probably never run out of silicon for a while. Then constantly bombarded by enemies the whole time. Build some polys, very nearly die. And spam so many droves that the two beefed up fortress guardians didn't stand a chance. See? My factory is fine. Anyway, the polys rebuild literally all of it. We move on to We Are the Sharded. One day, suddenly, we woke up. We have no idea why. We have no idea who we're working for. And if they have good intentions. We fight the Crux. They are responsible for the breach and release the spores of the Biomass facility, which now plague this world. We do not know if the cause we fight for is right. We don't know that we fight for it. We do not know the consequences if we stop. We do not know the consequences if we do not stop. We can only hope that the cause we are fighting for is somewhat moral. Lots of water and sand, and still very tropical. I build up and find new enemies, being Risso, the dolphin thing, Minky, the whale. Find new material, titanium. This allows me to get titanium conveyors that go very fast, payload conveyors that transport units, router, laser drills, big electric power drills, big graphite presses, titanium walls, a bunch of turrets, large batteries, and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, I forgot to mention that the last map I got the technology to make spores into water, then those spores into oil, and finally that oil into coal. Meaning water is technically an infinite fuel source. That won't reference that voxel game which famously thinks chat reporting is a good thing. Speaking of mistakes, I fuck up majorly and don't record that final wave, so just imagine it was hard. And start mixing water and titanium to make cryofluid, and use the cryofluid in combination with pyrite to make the power using a differential generator that uses heat difference to make power somehow. I make plastinium, then I have to find a generation, which can be used for battery diodes, walls that negate lasers and electricity, and just other stuff. I mean, it's plastic. The only thing it's good at is choking out fish and making me drinking Coke from bottles. Anyway, speaking of pollution, onto the These fields contain a lot of surface oil, but are like completely infested with those robot things. We build up, die, rebuild, and find a new material, borium. This is one of the endgame materials. It can only be used mining by the big laser drills, be extremely useful for armament conveyors, plates conduits, alloy smelters, a new core, the strongest walls, etc. We build up more, place down these little swarmer turrets which fire loads of missiles, and those missiles can be flaming with pyrite. Fun turrets. I build up more and more, mine thorium, and start building massive cocks out of boredom, and my fleet of polys will always repair them, which is good. And the final wave is here. Guardian 2. Yeah, this Guardian can't really do anything bad. Massive fucking loads. This Guardian is called Vela. If you even cared, it does this the whole time. Safe to say, my factory did not live through this at all. I do all of that again, took another hour. Place all the walls of thorium, big massive ripple towers everywhere, and hope I don't get my ass handed to me. It comes again, breaks through 3 sets of thorium walls, but my Lancer spam lets me live. I take in the disruption, and I get poly factories running again so I can rebuild for the last time. Finally, this is the end of part 1 of this 2-part Mindustry series I'm doing. Can't review the game because I haven't, finished the game that much. Let's give it up to future me for an organic outro. Yeah, so I love another million impressions. Yeah, that would great. Yep, that would be really cool. Lip smack again. Subscribe.
Join the Discord.
Anyway, goodbye.